to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back with you for our first broadcast of, should I call it for today? Because it doesn't feel that way, because in the wee hours leading to this morning or to today's morning, we had a broadcast for a watch along of a game between USA and Belgium. And it's for that very reason that you never go to see me in the early morning for our routine broadcast, for the 9 a.m. sort of 9:10 a.m. sort of broadcast. Anyways, we are here for the watch along between Colombia and Switzerland, and that game is kicking off as I speak between the two sides. We'll be doing the watch along for that game as we discuss the latest from the world of sport. Obviously, Argentina had to leave it late against Egypt, who had taken a 2-0 lead in that one. So we'll get to discuss what transpired in that game. And see, was it just? Was it unjust? Were Egypt at fault for losing out eventually 3-2? Let's against Egypt. I'm just trying to update our headlines for today. Hi, Amelia. Messi showed there was never a debate. I expected those kinds of comments to suffice tonight in the discussion. But I thought, if they were that good, why would they be going 2-0 down in the first place? Leave it late against Egypt to win. Win 3-2. Okay. So, anyways, it is what it is. Hi, Raymond Kangumba. Good to have you on the broadcast. I hope you've had a wonderful day. So far, so good. It's been that sort of a day, quite hot throughout the course of today for us. But nonetheless, a very, very good day for, we are glad to be alive and to be discussing football again. We'll be going through the starting 11s for both sides as far as tonight's fixture is concerned, as this is the last game for the round of 16 at this year's FIFA World Cup there. So I know I'm looking forward to watch more of Johan Manzambi, who is a target for Newcastle, but unfortunately for him is that Jesus Christ, he's not in the starting 11 today. For whatever reason that is the case. I hope it's not through suspension. But anyways, Switzerland have Grigor Kobel in goal. They have Denis Zakaria. They have Nico Elvidi, Manela Kanji, Ricardo Rodriguez. They have Granit Xhaka in that midfield, playing alongside Rome Freuler there. Then they have Fabian Raider. They have Jashari. They have Danny Noe and Bill Emblo leading up the lines. On the side of Colombia, very, very hard-working side. By the way, in Colombia, you have Camilo Vargas in goal. You have Mojica. You have Lukumi. There you have Davinson Sanchez. You have Daniel Munoz. You have Arias. That one is called Johan Arias. You have Jefferson Lemar. You have Paueta. Hi, William. Hi, how are you doing? For those of you that are just joining us, welcome to the Football Tribe UG channel. Luis Diaz, Luis Suarez, as well as James Rodriguez. That is how the Colombians have set up for tonight. Like I said, for those of you that are just joining us, welcome to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is my name. You'll allow me put up a poll question for tonight. For today's game between these two sides. as they tussle it out for a spot in the quarterfinals to decide who will go through and take on Argentina in the next stage of the competition. So that's the what is at stake for two sides. Do you remember me? I am a Portugal fan. That is from William. I do remember you, William. How are you doing? How are you coping in the wake of that loss last evening? Did you think it was worthy of you to lose the game? Did you think your performance was worthy of a victory? Or you do feel that at the end of the day, the best team won? I'm not of the school of thought that Spain were any different, like miles apart better, but nonetheless, they're the ones that won the encounter. So you'll vote and let me know who you think will come out on top in tonight's encounter between those two sides. Okay. Amelia, you said Ronaldo, the second man who died standing. Jesus Christ. I don't know what sort of reference to make to that comment. I don't know if, anyway, it is what it is. Somebody had a different comment. Amelia, you also said Argentina let the Egyptian fans be happy, and then they proved why do we call them clutch. Okay. I mean, I remember when Egypt's second goal scorer scored the first goal that was earlier on ruled out for a foul in the build-up, leading to the goal. When he took off his shirt celebrating, I was there thinking to myself, really? Do you really need to take off your shirt? I understand you're overjoyed to score against Argentina, but this tie is far from over. Then Raymond Kangoba says, hi, Newcastle United, making a double swap. Sean Stewart doing his medical as he said to at Newcastle right now. I know he's joining in from Ajax, the youngster who some have looked at as a potential replacement for Sandro Tonali. He's only 18 years of age. And then you talk about Johan Manzambi, 52 million pounds there that you're citing for the Swiss international. I cried all night. Sorry about that. You're not the only one. In the aftermath of the game, while I was waiting for the kickoff between Switzerland and Belgium, I went and participated in a certain forum where there's quite a number of Portugal fans. And there was one that's not inconsolable, but they themselves had just recovered from shedding their own tears in the wake of that defeat. Then you say Steve Harrington, you say Argentina is fire. I think they keep on needing to bail themselves out. What a comeback for Argentina. That's from Steve Harrington. Earlier, Amelia was saying that he was helpless. No one helped him to win his one star. I don't think team should have helped Ronaldo to score more. Okay. The team should have helped Ronaldo to score more. I think the team should have helped itself entirely. Shimi says, hello from, hello tribe. Hello, Shimi. Shimi does join us from Namibia. So guys, please take part in our poll question for tonight. Let me know, who are you rooting for? Who do you think is going to come out on top? Do you think Switzerland have a way through, or you think Colombia will be the ones that come out on top? For those of you that are just joining the stream, welcome to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is my name, and I join you live from Kampala, Uganda, where it's 8 minutes past the hour of 11 p.m. East African time, and it's 8 minutes past the game thus far. So today feels like one of those days when we're right on time, spot on, Absolutely love it. I always had a soft corner for the Portugal team because of Ronaldo. Now I'm going to be the biggest hater for Portugal. Amelia, I find that a little bit inconceivable how you go from one extreme end to another, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, we choose where we pay allegiance to. Like I said, for me, ever since Ghana's exit and subsequently that of Brazil, I've not aligned myself with anybody. I'm just enjoying the tournament for the remainder of it. May the best team go on to win it. those obviously in the context of the watching the game itself, at some point you do maybe feel a certain way, hoping or wishing for a certain team to win, but if they don't win, no pun intended, it doesn't hurt one bit, at least for me. Thank goodness Argentina came back, otherwise it was going to look like sub-Saharan Africa had mentality problem and North Africa have better mentality. I understand what the narrative would have been United World 10, but hi, United World 10. It's been a minute. I hope you're doing okay, and I hope in your busy schedule, you're finding time to enjoy the World Cup to the fullest, even though you may not find time to be part of some of our conversations. I hope you're doing all right. William says, I do hope a deserving team should win. That's his take on that one. That's what I hope too, as well. May the best team win. Now, looking at two of Argentina's last two performances, I'm not sold. I'm not convinced. I don't know if my expectations of them are that high as reigning champions, but I found their performances really, really wanting. And today, yes, they may have made the comeback. But we saw them scrap themselves through that, game against Cape Verde. We've seen them today. Maybe one would argue it's the extension of playing 120 minutes at the round of 32 against Cape Verde, and now they had to carry a little bit of that into today's game. And at some point, you felt that the Egyptians wanted that game to go to extra time, but that's football. That's football. It will disappoint you. And now there's a trending clip of the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, sort of having some muted or disguised celebrations. I don't even know whether they're celebrations or it was a pity laugh. I don't know what to call it. But his expression when Egypt scored wasn't at its best. And yet it comes at a time when there's a lot of conspiracy theory on FIFA, say having organized this, having scripted the tournament for Argentina to win it, and that sort of a narrative. And then the Egyptian head coach comes out to make some comments that I will read out in a bit, but I need to ascertain whether they are actually, as stated as is, being in attribution to himself for what he said, because sometimes in this line of social media, when you're picking up on quotes, you ought to be really, really careful, because sometimes people use AI to attribute comments to people that have not actually said them, while others create comments that managers or sometimes players, they themselves have not said out, So, but we'll assess them in a bit. United would say, you say hi tribe. Prior to you, sorry. Amelia said, I hope Portugal won't qualify ever again. Unfortunately, they will be at the 2030 edition of the FIFA World Cup as one of the host nations, because that tournament is going to be hosted by Spain, Portugal, and Morocco, with some, I think, about 2 games set to be played in South America, that's in Argentina and Uruguay, to mark the 100th anniversary of the World Cup, or as the World Cup celebrates its century in existence. So please make or take a keynote of that. Meanwhile, Colombia have a free kick here, floated in by James Rodriguez, cleared. First clearance doesn't go too far, and then the Swiss goalkeeper, Gregor Kobel, does collect. Anyways, United Road said, hi, bro. Well, thanks. And you? Yes, just busy period, but I hope to engage the World Cup and try more soon. All right. Yes, Argentina. Yes, in your absence, as always, Viola did ask of you, might I not, before I forget. Amelia said, yes, Argentina has won, but the games were so close. I don't think Argentina can make it this time round. Well, sometimes you have to do it the hard way, and it matters. Sometimes it matters less how you win than actually that you win, So maybe that's what they will be looking at more importantly. But the fact is that they're into the quarterfinals, and the rest will be history. I've not appreciated their performances that way, just like you stated clearly, but also on the other flip side of the argument, they could as well state it as such. Okay. Then William says, same Amelia, the wrong turn to Ronaldo. I do hope they don't go. Okay, Reluctant Gamer says, hi, tribe. Hi, Reluctant Gamer. I hope you're doing okay. For those of you that are wondering why Reluctant Gamers are name does appear in, is that green or red? Forgive my color blindness, but it does appear to be green. But he is a member on the channel for 0.5 US dollars. You can become a member for as little as 2,000 Uganda shillings. You can become a member and support this channel and help us, keep going. Shimi says it will be better for Argentina to suffer at the hands of Colombia. They have gaps in defense. Okay, that's based on the assumption for Shimi that Colombia are the ones that are going to be advancing at the expense of Switzerland tonight. Okay, Steve Harrington says, responding to Amelia, let's see, but we'll try to get Argentina. Meanwhile, should Argentina go through at the quarterfinals, they have an opportunity to meet either England or Norway in the semifinals. So, I mean, I would love to see a semifinal, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you see it, between England and Argentina. Maybe this could be the year that England plot their revenge for that hand of God, that goal from the World Cup 1986 at the semifinals. For those of you that remember, not remembering in the context of having been there or having watched the game, but in the as far as the history of the World Cup goes. Okay. Okay, Amina says France is going to lift the cup. I did see also comments from Arsene Charles Wenger, the former Arsenal, Nagoya Grampus, and ex-Monaco manager, suggesting as such or predicting as such that France will win the World Cup. It will be better for Argentina to suffer at the hands of Colombia. They have gaps in defense. Okay, so what do you think about Brazil? I mean, they did their best, but sometimes good is not good enough, so they bow out. They had their lapses, they missed their chances, but also that's to argue that he was called Ojan something. I forget. He's called Ojan what? The Norwegian goalkeeper. He was simply immense in that game. Really, really immense. Top performance for him in that game, as well as the likes of Christopher Aja in that, on the day. So basically, it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. That's just the nature of the game. So I felt the more clinical team on the day did come out on top. Yes, his name is called, should be, he's called Ojan Nyland or Neyland, depending on how you pronounce it. So whether it's Neyland or Nyland, that's the goalkeeper. And then Christoph Aja in that backline were quite immense. Martin Odegaard with the man of the match kind of performance, even though the accolade may have gone to Brad Erling Haaland, who he handed over the sticks to carry on the drumbeats as they celebrated upon their, qualification for the quarterfinals. And they were asking him, what if they were to meet, they were telling him, what if they were to meet France in the finals? And he said he doesn't care. He doesn't care. All he cared about was that they had advanced to the next stage, and the rest is history. He doesn't care if France win it. I think a part of him does acknowledge they're a good team. Okay, I think that says it all about Brazil. Close games against Congo and Egypt show there are some things to fix before facing the big giants. Well, I don't think we've had a perfect team. Even for Spain, who are yet to concede a goal in this tournament, by the way, I don't think their performances have been up to perfection. They've been far from it. We saw them against Cape Verde. We saw them against Portugal. There's that other game against Uruguay. So, I don't think we've seen a team where we come out of a game, sorry, until this stage of the tournament, where we say they've been perfect, game in, game out. Even for France, yes, they've been winning all their games, but if you have to nitpick, you could be there thinking that first half performance against Senegal wasn't good, but maybe they did better in the second half. You'll go back to that game against Paraguay. Yes, Paraguay played a haram football, but you must be thinking to yourself, or you could have been thinking to yourself, come on, you have the best attack at this World Cup. Surely you can tear down defenses, even the lowest of low blocks. So there's also that. Then Not Shadow says this. Not Shadow, you say hi. Hi, Not Shadow. I don't know where you're joining us from, but it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. United Road says, hey, hey, oh, I will catch her soon. See you all soon. Thank you so much, United Road 10. God FFF, bro, not scripted. You support Brazil, I know. Yes, I support Brazil. I wasn't speaking for me. I was simply alluding to the narrative that has been driven out there. Forgive me if I'm the bearer of the bad news, but I'm simply a messenger carrying on the message in regards to what the narrative is out there is sounding like. But I wasn't carrying them as words of my own. Harrington says, can Belgium have a chance with Spain? Yeah, they can have a chance. I mean, yesterday against Team USA, I saw their best performance in a tournament. Forget even their 5-1 victory against New Zealand in the final game of the group stages. That was absolutely the best performance. And if they can come up and turn the heat on, who knows? It can go either way. But against Spain, Spain is also a very, very difficult opponent. Like I've told you, they are yet to concede a goal in this competition. Oh, Colombia, here they come, looking for that goal. Oh, ball takes a slight bit of a deflection, but Grigor Kobel manages to keep it out there with quite a decent save. But that was an excellent attempt from Team Colombia, who are quite robust. They're in for the grit. They like they welcome a physical contest as well as a clean contest. You leave yourself open to the counterattack. They have the pace to come at you really, really quick. Okay. Then the final will be England versus France. Trust me, that's from Shimi's prediction. I mean, that would be quite the epic encounter. We would, again, look forward so much to it. By the way, what has that Salah, for the reason, put in FIFA Instagram account with Messi and Mbappe, score number 7? Apologies, William. I did not get that one quite really, really well. That is the only post I do not get. I didn't get that one quite really well. But Lionel Messi has now scored at 9 consecutive World Cup games. But in as far as this tournament is concerned, he has 8 goals. And I stand to be corrected, but I think he's among the top assist providers thus far in this tournament for goal contributors as well. Although it's a game in which he did miss a penalty, just like he did against, was it Austria? Yeah, I think he also missed a penalty in that game. But yeah, Lionel Messi has 8 goals, although the record does indicate 0 assists. Kylian Mbappe, 7 goals and 2 assists. Brad Erling Haaland, 7 goals, 0 assists. Harry Kane, 6 goals and 1 assist. Those are the leading scorers of the competition thus far. Okay, we are bound for the hydration break very soon. William says, in FIFA Instagram account, they posted some random shit that cannot be understood as I quoted. Well, your guess is as good as mine because I'm yet to see what that post looks like. But so I cannot really make a comment on it or make reference to it. But if I do land on it subsequent in the course of this broadcast, be sure I'll give you my reaction. Melissa Reedy saying, I love football. I love late drama. I love comebacks. I love knowing that anything is possible and feeling like we are watching a steady stream of some of the greatest games ever. I do not love how we expected to ignore the inconsistencies. She says, I do not love how we are expected to ignore the inconsistencies in officiating and the interventions from VAR, which have largely been heavily weighted towards certain teams and its players. If you've watched and followed everything in this World Cup and are still subscribed, the idea that it's all fair, Delusionville must be a lovely place to reside in. Again, like I said, in the context of that game, it begs the question, if that goal had been scored by Argentina, would the same application of the VAR have happened? Your guess is as good as mine. I do not know. But I know I've watched a good number of these games at the World Cup to see moments where officiation has turned a blind eye on certain things, for certain players, for certain teams. I know that, and this is not just about Argentina. I've seen it for Argentina. I've seen it vis-a-vis other teams. Go back to that game against Cape Verde. It almost felt like every time Lionel Messi was touched, it was a foul. That's what it felt like. And even in the slightest of contacts. And I was thinking to myself, come on, it's a man's game. Contact is bound to be somewhere. Now, you go back to that very game. Before Argentina score their winning goal, Mohamed Salah, contact is made on him in the penalty area, and he goes down. Argentina win the ball back, go on a quick counter, eventually score. And did the incident get reviewed on VAR? I don't know if it was reviewed by VAR, and they determined that it wasn't worthy of the referee having a second look at it, having waived it earlier on. But also, in the recycled play of that very moment, there had been an alleged foul on another Egyptian player in the same area before that. So, and again, we did not get to see that being reviewed. So anyways, like I said, you cannot separate yourselves from the narrative of the conspiracies that may round when there are inconsistencies in terms of decision making. First of all, my question as soon as that call was cancelled was, at what point do we move from one phase of play and acknowledge that we've gone into the second phase of play? Because when you look at where the foul is committed, and where the goal goes, totally two extreme ends. Is it a foul? It is a foul. Is it the kind of foul that necessitates VAR intervention? I certainly do not think so. It's not a red card foul. It's not a clear and obvious error from the referee. And if you're judging it to be a foul in the build-up to the goal, I would understand if it was in Argentina's half of the pitch. But players run from one extreme end to another, square goal, and suddenly we have to go back. I found that suspicious. I did not agree with that. I did not like it for the context of football, not because it was Argentina involved. No, but if it were against my team, if Brazil, I'd feel the same way. If it was for Brazil, vice versa, I'd still feel the same way. That is not sportsmanship, in my humble opinion. It is okay for you to have a different view, but that's what I felt about that goal that was ruled out for Egypt. Okay. By the way, what do you think about Mbappe's injury and his try to come back? Well, first and foremost, I'm not well conversant with the extent of Kylian Mbappe's injury and what the risks are as by the time of this broadcast. But thanks for the update. Maybe I'll look it up. But also, if you have more information, kindly put it down in the comment section for all of us to, learn from one another. The one thing I love about having interactions with football fans is that I'm not treated as a lecturer in a lecture room, being the one dishing out knowledge. It's a point of interaction where we share and learn from one another. So in case you have more information about that, please hesitate not to let us know down in the comment section. But the thing I wanted to say about that is that he wouldn't be the only one. I've seen lots of players play through injury in this tournament. William Saliba, who has missed one game so far for Team France, and that was the final game of the group stages versus Norway, which they won comfortably well, has had to play through this tournament with a back injury. Declan Rice is struggling with a hamstring injury and a back injury, so he's playing in this tournament. Bukayo Saka has an Achilles injury. He's struggling, but he is still playing in this tournament. Now, those are some of the players that come off quickly of my fingertips, but I can assure you, 100% that there's more to the story in terms of players playing through injury out there. Unfortunately, yesterday we saw Amadou Onana suffer what is believed now to be an anterior cruciate ligament injury and will be out of action for 7 to 9 months. As soon as I saw the way he landed and the way he struggled to limp off that pitch, I feared for the worst. And in fearing for the worst, my suspicions all drove to one straight up, one path, that it was an anterior cruciate ligament injury, because they somehow, for some reason, become so common so far in the game in recent times. And this is maybe post-COVID. Go to Real Madrid. Lots of players have suffered those. Go to Arsenal. You've had a couple of players suffering those. Go elsewhere. That's a brilliant save. That's a brilliant save from the Colombian goalkeeper. That is some brilliant save from the Colombian goalkeeper. Switzerland asking questions of their own, not just willing to answer those that are being asked of them by Colombia. And they live to fight another day, Team Colombia. Meanwhile, this is the last game of the evening and the last game for the round of 16. We will take a day's rest, which will be tomorrow, where we'll have no game for the World Cup and resume the action subsequently. We'll resume the action on Thursday. Be sure I'll be here to enjoy the conversations with you as things go. But yeah, Camilo Vargas there has just bailed out his team. Do you still think that the World Cup is scripted? Tell me your honest opinion. Has Argentina got the easy path? Now, if Argentina had the easy path, I don't think they would be scrapping themselves out of these games. Now, if you nitpick and magnify yourself into some of the decisions that have gone in their favor, there's just one too many coincidences not for us to believe that maybe somebody somewhere is turning a blind eye or is having a week at Argentina. It does feel that way. I'm oftentimes not to believe that the game is scripted, because I don't think you script a game and then you tell us when a team will concede and when a team will score. If you thought it was a scripted penalty, he missed the penalty. In my opinion, it's a penalty, But so therefore, that's not the point of it. So the point is that when you call it a scripted game, there must be a lot of overwhelming evidence to support your theory. And for those that are of that view, they have some evidences to bring forth. Whether you believe those evidences is a whole different story. But what I cannot associate my brain with is that I have seen decisions go Argentina's way that are questionable, or that otherwise I do not believe would have gone the other way for another team. I've just cited that goal that was scored by Egypt earlier on in that game before they get their second of the night. That goal was ruled out after VAR review. The goal scorer was Zaki. When Zaki scores that goal and it is reviewed and ruled out, I'm thinking to myself, come on, that goal should stand, And that's why I asked the question, had it been Argentina who had scored that goal, would it have been ruled out? Would VAR have intervened? That's one. But more importantly, did VAR necessitate an intervention? Is it a clear and obvious error by the referee? I certainly don't think so, because how many times do we see fouls, blatant fouls, be committed and the game just carries on? Now, I do not want to cite examples from the Paraguay first game, because that was absolutely shambolic. Total shenanigans. I was watching a clip of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and he said if he had been part of that game, he would have gotten 4 red cards. If he had been playing for France versus Paraguay, he would have received 4 red cards. In other words, he was not willing to take that nonsense from the Paraguayan team. And in the aftermath of that, I've not read, but at least I've seen the exchanges that are ongoing between Kylian Mbappe and a certain senator from Paraguay. So if we are to assess the World Cup you're going to find many fouls that have been committed, and the referee did not call the action. And game carried on because it does happen, unfortunately, whether we like it or not. Sometimes fouls are committed and the referee has maybe just not seen it, the linesman has not seen it, or the referee has seen it, but this did not think it was worthy of a call. Now, it doesn't mean that they are right in not calling it for foul. The point I'm trying to make is that precedent shows that sometimes fouls happen and the referee does not call them to book. So, in this particular case, is VAR trying to tell us that they are going to intervene in each and every foul that is not called by the referee, even if it does not lead to a goal? Because that was the other question that I had it not led to a goal, were VAR still going to intervene to say Argentina deserve a free kick there? Is it among their prerequisites for them to intervene? I certainly do not think so. So I'm not one to carry myself with belief of conspiracy theories, because a story, if you're going to script a game of football, there has to be a lot of things that go your way, really. Because the one thing you cannot predict is how the game will go down. Otherwise, when do Argentina concede? Would you have predicted they would concede two? For example, when Argentina pulled one back in the 78th minute, was that goal by Cristiano Romero scripted? I certainly don't think so. When you look at the equalizer by Lionel Messi, is that scripted? I certainly don't think so. And nor is the winning goal from Enzo Fernandez. I certainly don't think so. But when you magnify into some of the decision making that has an adverse impact on the game, you're bound to think a certain way. So, as a neutral, I may not read too much into it, but certainly the people who are going to read too much into it and say, come on, hold your breath here. There's something for us to scrutinize here. And I cannot blame them, or we cannot stop them for having that. So that's my view on the whole idea of whether it is scripted, and I hope that does make sense to you. But if you still hold a divergent view, you are welcome to comment. Otherwise, les blues. Amelia, my French is close to non-existent, but thanks for the comment. That goal was a goal, unfair decision. That's from Amelia. For me, VAR has ruined football. Egypt would have beaten Argentina. No, not VAR, but referee does that foul wasn't that serious. I mean, like I said, we see all these sorts of fouls in games and action never gets called back simply because the referee has not seen it, or they have seen it and do not believe it is worthy of bringing the game to a halt. We've seen that all the time. So VAR's intervention in that particular case is suspicious. And for the people who believe that it is a scripted narrative or scripted tournament for Argentina to win or lose, those are the sorts of things that they pick on. And therefore, you give validation to their narrative, to their school of thought, So, and I'm glad that a good number of you in the comment section agree that that goal should have stood. And who knows if that goal stood, whether it would have changed the context of the game and maybe would be having a different conversation altogether. I do not know. I do not know. Like I keep reminding ourselves, unfortunately, I'm not tall enough to know or predict what will happen tomorrow. Okay. Egypt third goal. Egypt third goal needed. That's from Lucky Singh. Should have no fouls. Chris Buck says Messi airport is that way. How dare you guys? That Messi, you can't do that in your life. I don't think it's because we doubted Messi or otherwise. But thanks much, Chris, for that comment. Lucky, you're rooting for England. Please, FIFA, get European referees for all teams. Luis Suarez's attempt is blocked out. Okay, you say England, France, Spain. World Cup is rigged. That is from Ali, Ali. Is it Ali? Forgive me if I can't pronounce your other name. Oh, so there's this over, and by the way, you know, part of what makes people feel more that maybe the World Cup is rigged or even scripted is not just because of what has happened on the pitch, but also all the other shenanigans that have surrounded this World Cup. You know, from the visa restrictions to certain teams or certain players, to the regrettable case of Florian Balogun with Team USA having that red card suspended. I mean, you cannot, do away with this. And then the FIFA president, who has his country in Switzerland, still in the competition, for his reaction about Egypt, I thought he was going to celebrate all goals in equal measure, simply enjoying the game. That the same way he clapped for the goal for Egypt would be the same way he would clap for a goal for Argentina. That wasn't the case. At least I was watching the CAF president, Patrice Motsepe, celebrating every Egypt goal. As CAF president is rooting for all teams from his continent, from his federation. It's as simple as that. But if you're the FIFA president, you're rooting for every team. Obviously, you must feel a certain way if it is Switzerland playing, because that's your birth country, that's where you're from, and that's okay. So there's a lot of pointers that could suggest something is not right for those that believe that it is scripted. Time sub-sent South American referees. Next games, Europe referees take over favorite country. Okay. Time, tell me how is World Cup rigged? Egypt literally had 4 minutes to score within an extra 3 minutes that went past the actual time. How is it rigged? Now, guys, the thing about extra time or added time for starters, that extra time, the one thing I realized about myself and that extra time initially, before I disabused myself of any biases whatsoever, was if you are, let's say, 2-1 down, and let's say they add in 7 minutes, in a way, at heart, there is a sudden sense of relief. You feel that, we have an opportunity to at least bring this game to level with added time. If you're the other team that is leading by 2-1, you're thinking to yourself, that's a little too much time. And the reverse is true. Now, the one thing I told myself later was that added time is for both teams, not for one team. If you're the one leading, added time means you can still go and score another, or you can defend really well. Added time means the other team can attack you and score and restore parity or even win a game of football. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, but it cuts both ways. Then two, the rule about added time is that it is a minimum of, the principle is a minimum of that added time, not the maximum. Now, I used to think back in the days that if the referee says 3 minutes of added time, strictly has to be 3 minutes, spot on, nothing more, nothing less, until I aligned myself to the reality that it is a minimum of. So if he says 4 minutes of added time, that means we shall play more time for a minimum of 4 minutes. But the question is, what is the maximum? That is at the discretion of the referee. That's at their discretion. And as of when they call the game to rest. Then the other thing that people sometimes ignore about this added time. For example, sometimes there's a goal scored in added time. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, Spain scored in the first minute of added time. When they scored, they celebrated. So time was eaten up there in the celebrations before the game was restarted. Therefore, if the referee accommodates extra time on added time, it is understandable. You know, the referee brought the game to a pause at some point in added time to go and dish out yellow cards on the touchline because there were certain issues to settle. So, in bringing the game to a halt, therefore, he must be thinking, okay, I'll add in some extra minutes on top of what I've already added. So, it's a minimum of. That's simply the principle. I have no qualms about it whatsoever. However, in the overall consensus of the game, there's such a thing as what would feel overly excessive. I'll give you an example. If the referee adds 4 minutes of added time, and there's not been any stops for either goal celebration, a horrible injury that is required treatment, that there hasn't been, and it doesn't, let's say there's not been any other issues to iron out that bring the game to a stop, and then suddenly he runs the clock for 6 extra minutes, that becomes suspicious. I'll give you an example. One of those examples was me before I understood that it was a minimum of. I think the year is about 2010 or 2011. Manchester United are playing Liverpool, and Liverpool are leading by 0-0. Howard Webb was the man in charge of that game. And I think he added about either 4 or 6 minutes of added time. But that added time elapses, and he still plays on the game. Unfortunately for him, if he had any hopes that Manchester United would equalize or restore parity in that game, it was Liverpool that went and scored the second goal. I think that goal was scored by David Ngogo at the time. So eventually, he brought the game to an end. So sometimes those things happen, you know. Okay, back to some of your comments. I would do now. We all angry. We want fair decisions. Okay, stop helping Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, cheating. I don't know what that implies. I didn't know anybody is being helped to cheat. Oh, come on. Why is my dashboard showing me that 0 votes have been cast in our poll question tonight? I do not want to believe that is the case. Not for an absolute bit. Not for an absolute second, you know. Not for an absolute second whatsoever. Anyway, I think it's a YouTube glitch, but I do not want to believe that no vote has been cast thus far. Are you from South Africa? That's from Shebomo Hale. Is that how they forgive me if I mispronounce your name, but no, I'm not from South Africa. But if you're joining us from South Africa, I say welcome to the Football Tribe EG channel. We have a couple of people who join us routinely from South Africa, including but not limited to United Road 10, Precinct Kosi, who is the other gentleman? His name is eluding me. Son of Soweto, among others, you know. So it's a pleasure to have you around if you're joining us from South Africa. Anyways. Okay. 3 minutes. We are into the final minute of added time for the second half. For the first half. And the game is still goalless. It's been a game of few chances, I must acknowledge. It has felt a game of few chances. It has felt a game of little differences between the two sides. You've not felt a significant difference to separate the two sides. So really look at it in that sense, in a way. Both teams have had their chances, but unfortunately, neither of the teams has buried those chances. 2 shots on target for Switzerland and only 1 on target for Colombia. Colombia have had 5 attempts on goal with only 2 on goal for Switzerland. Possession thus far has been 50-50, depending on what your source is, and the game has been called to halftime or to an interval with a 41% chance of the game going into extra time, with Colombia, being given a 36% chance of winning it all compared to Switzerland is at 32%. So that's the context of the game thus far. But, oh, go grab yourself a glass of water, go grab yourself some, you know, a drink. Get yourself a drink, a snack, a cup of coffee, whatever it is that you feel you need to carry yourself through for the remaining part of this game. Now, I don't know. I'm not one to ever wish for extra time, but given that this is the last game for the round of 16, I sort of feel could use an extra minutes of, game time. Um, T- Titan Forge says hi. Hi, how are you doing? Good to have you on the broadcast. The Egyptian goalkeeper, Mustafa Shobia, had a good game until the last minutes of the game because Egypt led the game by 2 goals to nil and collapsed in a period of about 13 minutes. In that period of 13 minutes, that's when they lost it all. That's when they lost it all. You know, they conceded consolation through Cristiano Romero. They fumble it on the second time of asking, and Lionel Messi scores, and then before you know it, the game goes out of their hand, and as though that wasn't enough, they go ahead and concede. Now, when you look at the manner in which they concede that third goal, Lautaro Martinez with a well-weighted ball, he waits, he takes his time on the ball, floats in a very, very decent cross. Enzo Fernandez maneuvers his marker and hits the ball back across goal. And I mean, it must have been painful to watch for the Egyptians that moment. One to forget, but one to remember as well. You know, who do you think is gonna win? Who do I think is gonna win the World Cup? I mean, for now I feel like France have the edge. I still believe this World Cup is going to return to Europe. France, England, Spain. For those of you that care to remember, at the start of the World Cup, I did an exclusive video. It is there on the channel where I highlighted 6 teams that were favorites to win the World Cup. Now, this was 6 teams out of 48 teams. And in those teams, in no particular order, was Portugal, was Spain, was France, was England, was Argentina, was Brazil. As we speak, Portugal, Brazil are out of it. Spain, Argentina, England, and France are all still in it. So at least 4 of those are at the quarterfinals. I can bet you not that at least 1 or 2 of those will make it to the finals. And then, also, for those of you that have followed this channel long enough, you know that I've constantly been asked a question about who the possible dark horses were in this tournament. And among those that I did highlight was Norway, because of how excellent they looked during their qualification campaign, And it's not a huge surprise that they find themselves at the quarterfinals. Whether they can go beyond England and continue to stand the world, that remains to be seen. But at least they've done us well thus far. Okay, the shout out to Ja Plays Games. Ja Plays Games. Hi, how are you? Good evening, Robert. That's from Cedric. Good evening to Cedric. Raymond Kangumba says Newcastle United are doing a double swap medical penciled for Sean Stewart and Jonas. He's called Johan, not Jonas. Johan Manzambi. I do not know to the effect of that. Ahmad now you say Ahmad, now Egypt is robbed. See, this is what we were talking about earlier on, is that when you come out of a game of football and forget the Egyptians, forget those that were rooting for Egypt as a country, but when you have football fans in their genuineness as just football fans come out with drawn conclusions as Egypt were robbed, you must find a space within your head to think of it, to ask yourself, at what point did the game go wrong that people or football fans feel this way about the game? Something somewhere must have happened in that game for somebody to say, nah, that's not a just decision against, Egypt. Sarah Ann says, if Morocco beat France, it's most likely theirs to lose. Okay. Beating France would be quite a statement that, would go a long way in this tournament thus far. Okay. There's, Raymond says Switzerland are winning this game. Okay. Hopefully, hope that will be the case. Okay. Oh. You can't mention cheating without USA, the home of cheaters. That's what we say, that that Balogun decision by FIFA brought the game into disrepute. So, anyways, I'm trying to find some of those comments from the Egyptians and possibly the Egypt head coach, Coach Hassam, who said today unfair things have happened. Those were some of his comments. Then Egypt Zico said the referee is unfair. God is sufficient for me and the best disposer of affairs. He's wasting the effort of an entire nation. The cup is being given to Argentina. They win the World Cup. Those are comments from players. Lionel Messi receives another FIFA Man of the Match award. Okay, incredible. Jesus Christ. I can see the comments are pouring in, but let me get to them in a bit. I just wanted to see if I can find more of the comments from, the Egyptian head coach, for us to have a deeper understanding of his interpretation or his assessment of how the game went. Because, like I oftentimes say, I do not think there's at any one point a better match assessor of a game than the head coaches. Obviously, they may have differences of opinion, but it is what it is. Okay, that's not going to yield the desired results that I'd hoped for when it comes to that. you know, Muhammad Salah and Hassama, that's or Hassam, the head coach of Egypt, kept on urging the referee to have a VAR review on that penalty call for Muhammad Salah, and it wasn't reviewed. Now, and this is where I want referees to disabuse themselves of any of the position that every time you get someone to the VAR or the pitch side monitor, that you must return with a different, with a different opinion or with a different decision. I look at it. I look at it in the sense of, okay, why not go have a look? And if your decision remains the same, maybe a part of the football world will be satisfied that at least you went and had a look at this. I remember at the start of the last season, we were having a conversation with a one May Pedri from Spain, and the Spanish La Liga were looking to introduce something to the extent that a manager or a head coach of any team has up to 3 chances to call for a VAR review if they believe there's a certain decision that has been unjust on their team. This could be a red card, it could be a foul in the area, it could be a foul that is worthy of a red card. In other words, if I'm the head coach and I feel you've taken a bad decision about my team, I'd request for a VAR review. Now, the way the principle was supposed to work was that if I summon you for a VAR review and I was wrong about that, then I lose my other 2 chances. But if I summon you for a VAR review and indeed you change your initial decision or earlier decision, then that means I still qualify to make 2 more calls within the context of that game for you to make other reviews. That was the sort of principle. And I feel that should be brought in the game. And I assume, let's say, if it had been there, it would have helped Egypt today. Not to the extent of having a decision changed, but to the extent of saying, we have a bone to pick with the decision that you've just made. And in the midst of the context of the game, if we have waited minutes, more than a minute, more than 3 minutes, sometimes even up to 5 minutes, waiting for a decision to come out of VAR, surely we can accommodate managers or head coaches having an appeal for a decision to be reviewed. What do you guys think about that as a principle, given to try and find fairness in the game? Guys, I do not know why, but I can't seem to see the poll results. Now that I've ended the poll, it is finally showing me the results. 58% voted for Switzerland to go through, 42% voted for Colombia to go through in a poll of 19 votes. Okay, let me run through your comments. Went through Raymond's comments. Saran said, okay, I read that one. Read Raymond's comments. Cedric said, second Egyptian goal was refused because the Egyptian player touched an Argentina player, but before the third goal, Argentina goal, there was a clear foul that is forgotten by the referee. You see, that's the lack of consistency. That when it was on the part of Egypt, you had the entire goal ruled out, saying there was an earlier foul. And now, in the course of Argentina scoring their third goal, the Egyptians are appealing for not just, but 2 fouls. There were 2 foul appeals in the same, in one cycle of play. And that is not being reviewed. So surely a certain part of the football world is going to feel that they've been unjustly treated to the extent of, the officiation of the game. Anyways, we are back for the second half. Then Saran says you can't mention cheating without USA. I think we touched upon that. Like Messi, gross foul against Algeria and no card. Let the best team win. Let the best win. But with a fully full fair play, everyone treated the same way. Exactly. Now, ever since Messi was not given his red card for his involvement in that foul on a Nigerian player, there's not been equity. A lot of people keep pointing back to that to say he should have gotten a red card in that game or for that foul. And it was an Achilles tackle. It was dangerous. We've seen red cards being awarded for less. If you need to watch to see a pure example where a red card has been awarded for less, go back and revisit the game between South Africa and Mexico, the opening game of the World Cup. Okay, okay, Cedric responding to Sarah and says 5 Argentine referees for Morocco, France. That's not a joke. By the way, I've seen a graphic depicting that. Now, like I said, usually when I see something on social media, I oftentimes take it with a pinch of salt to say maybe it is not the reality. But if it were to be true, I'm not judging it to be true on face value for what I've seen. But if it were to be true, why would you be putting a game of football like that to be taken charge of referees from one country? Why? And by the way, with 8 teams left at this competition, surely we're not short of referees to preside over games. Surely not, So if that were to be true, that would be quite suspicious. I feel Enzo is better than Portugal whole midfield combined. If if you marry Beyonce and you mistreat her, eventually one day, Wendy Williams could look more beautiful than Beyonce. That's all I'll say about that. Lolo, come on now. Enzo, let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's from Sir Ryan. There is a new FIFA rule that all rules apply to all countries except for Argentina. Enzo, better than Vitinha and Fernandez. Enzo is not even Casemiro's big toenail. Jesus Christ. Switzerland with their second half substitute having an aim at goal to little success. Switzerland have a habit of scoring early in the second half, but that was a decent attempt. Fairly decent. Goes wide of the mark. But Jashari has been withdrawn for Jibril Sow. Okay, Saran, I'm just pulling your leg. Switzerland to go through the quarterfinals. That's from Raymond Kangumba. I know we are just bantering, by the way. Oh, bruh. Lolo, good analogy about women. That one was for the bright ones. If anybody out there did not understand the analogy, I'm not going to labor to explain it. You'll forgive me on that one. There's a patent appeal from Switzerland for Danny Ndoye, but the referee waved it away. There's a little pull on his shirt, but as soon as he feels that touch, he goes to the ground. Daniel Munoz being the culprit. the Crystal Palace defender. Looks like Danny Ndoye will need more stamina for this one. Oh, oh. So today is Wednesday, right? I tend to confuse days of the week. Oh. Oh, Joel, hi. Where are you from? Oh, Joel says hi. Where are you from? I'm from Kampala, Uganda. Austin is back with us. Says hi. Tuesday night, Tuesday night service. That's where I'm from. That small country. Grand Jaka getting his booking for that foul on Daniel Munoz. Joe says, I'm from Ghana. Oh, wow. How is Ghana? What part of Ghana? Accra, Tamale, Kumasi. I think that's all I know. You know, Ghana is known for their cocoa growing, but they're also known for their battle against Nigeria for who prepares the best jollof rice. I don't know if it's the same story for fufu, for their cuisine. There's a free kick closer to the edge of the 18 yards box for a foul by Davidson Sanchez. I don't know. My parents didn't tell me. Oh, okay. No. I meant what part of Ghana do you live in? What part of Ghana do you currently live in? That's where Wodemaya is from. For those of you that are not familiar, Wodemaya is a travel vlogger. Oh, that's close. That's close to creeping in, but it went to the side netting. Ah, not enough cow to eat, but as a genuine attempt. Okay, Accra, I think. Okay, if Colombia meet Argentina, then Colombia will want to avenge the loss to Argentina in the Copa America final. Okay. Oh, is Sarayan, you say, oh, he's Ghanaian, but he doesn't live there, I guess. Okay. Okay. Whew. Wow. Meanwhile, guys, guess what? Um, Arsenal have agreed the deal to sign a former Leeds goalkeeper. In he's called Ilan Marcella, something like that. 26 years of age, has not been trusted with a serious game of football at Leeds since 2025. Now, that signing feels pretty much like when Arsenal signed Runason. I'm thinking to myself, what the hell are they thinking? How do you go from wanting to sign Joan Garcia as your second choice goalkeeper? You downgrade to Kepa Arrizabalaga, fair enough, and now with the expectation that Kepa Arrizabalaga could leave, you restrict yourself to Tommy Setford, and you're signing Ilan. That's not what I would expect. I think by now the GOAT debate should be over. Should it have started in the first place? Gianni Infantino, how does he do it? Guys, does he always have a private jet waiting somewhere in the parking lot of a stadium? When this match ends, he hoops into his plane and flies into the next venue. Mega Ashif says, "What's behind you? It's just an empty wall." Steve Harrington says, "Maybe it will go to extra time." I mean, extra time is not my cup of tea. I know I said earlier that maybe given that it's the last game for the round of 16, we could use extra time, but it's not my cup of tea. I'd rather somebody scores in the 90th minute and we call it a day, you know? Tired of these games dragging on. A game is okay to drag on if goals are being scored left, right, and center. You know, you score, they score, you score, they score. Then that is worthy of extra time, but not a goalless draw in normal time and then suddenly we go into extra time. For what? Oftentimes would feel like a waste of energy. It's in the nature of humans to compare. Infantino doesn't sleep. He just go for Mola. He has flying powers. He's tried to watch as many games as he possibly can. Norway versus England. What side do you choose? I'm not, like I said, guys, I'm not one to choose sides. Ever since Ghana and Brazil were eliminated, I'm not one to choose sides. I'm simply enjoying the games as we go. England, Norway, that will be epic. So I'm looking forward to watching it with no strings attached, completely zero. Simply enjoying the game for what it is. So obviously, you can imagine, as an Arsenal fan, there's Martin Odegaard pitted on one side, and there's Declan Rice, Eberechi Eze, Noni Madueke, who else? On the other side of the aisle. So, and Bukayo Saka on the other side. So, think of it that way. Dennis Zakaria getting himself in the referee's book for that foul on Luis Diaz, one of the standout players from last campaign with Bayern Munich. France or Morocco, again, not choosing any. France, as an Arsenal fan, I'll be wishing William Saliba well. But if he loses, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. As much as which William Saliba will, a part of me wishes his tournament comes to an end so he can go on to have a summer break, you know. So I no longer have a dog in the fight. I no longer have a dog in the fight. That's for sure. I just want to enjoy the games for what they are as they remain. Oh, Luis Suarez, sorry, Luis Diaz almost conjuring up something there. What's the yellow card for? Luis Suarez gets booked. I don't know what for. If Belgium versus France in the semifinals, that will be lit. I think we could use more Spain versus France. And we see a repeat of the UEFA Nations League semifinals. That would be my sort of wish. Who has the heavier side? Obviously, I don't think at the stage of the competition where we are, we have any side that is lighter. I don't want to delude myself into thinking so. Unless you want to assess them based on the pedigree narrative, on who has won and who has not won. Shimi says, I pray that your channel becomes the best. Also, hope that we will do panel discussions. I would love to have those. Oh, panel discussions? Yeah, yeah. I'd love to do some of those, really. I'd love to do some of those. But yesterday, I was responding to a similar inquiry from from Jesus Y815. He was asking the same because he did watch that interview that I did with two individuals, a lady and a gentleman, and then the other interview, the exclusive with that same lady, and he was asking me why you're not doing more of the same, the collaborations and stuff like that, and I was explaining to him the sort of context within the a field within which I play with. Sometimes people are not easy to come by to sit down and have these conversations with. And then those that are sometimes willing and not very, very comfortable expressing themselves in English. They prefer local languages. And I do not want to do you guys the disservice of Luis Suarez missing a golden opportunity here to send Colombia into the lead, couldn't keep it on target. So it's a bit of a challenge. And because I made it sort of oh, just miscues that one totally. I just made the resolution not to confuse my audience. Today I upload in the local language, tomorrow in English. Nah, so I decided I'll do strictly in English. But you may find me on another channel somewhere, maybe speaking in a different language, because that channel is for that language, for at least one of the local languages. But surely, I'm looking to do more, engagements, so that I serve you better. But thank you so much for the best wishes on the channel. Katie K Edits says, hi, it's me again. I'm back. Remember me? Hi, Katie. How are you doing? How have you been? Okay. Colombia are asking some serious questions. They have asked Switzerland some serious questions over the last maybe 6 to 10 minutes. They've been quite dominant. How come I've not yet seen footage of Shakira at this game? She's from Colombia, right? Or at least has roots in Colombia. Switzerland making a burst of changes, including the withdrawal of James Rodriguez. James Rodriguez and Arias for Quintero. Now, what's Colombia predominantly known for? Ashes, what a comeback by Argentina today. I saw 2019 Messi in the last 15 minutes. 2019 Lionel Messi. That's a bit of a hot take, you know. But yeah, he had a good game eventually. 66 minutes played, and we are yet to see a goal. At least let's see goalkeepers being called to action more routinely. But it's been that sort of game. He's still carrying Argentina. He most definitely is. That's why at the end of the game, they decided to carry him to thank him for having carried them. He's a Switzerland player. Bril Embolo is on the turf. Bril Embolo clearly displeased with what just happened to him. There was what felt to be a minor tackle from Davidson Sanchez. The referee calls for a hydration break here. I'm blessed today, been watching him since I was a 9 year old. He still got it, man. Well, he still has it in him. He definitely still has it in him. Mm. Anyways, it's 28 minutes past midnight for me. Almost 3 a.m. for me. I'm calling it a night. Good night. Oh, thanks, Ash. It's quite unfortunate that you're not seeing the remainder of the tie between Switzerland and Colombia. You know, I'm feeling tired as watching the game, but I'll sleep now. Okay. Till tomorrow. Have yourself a blessed night. Let's see what the transfer gossip has, the transfer rumor mill has for us today. So Arsenal have made that 23-year-old midfielder Morgan Rogers their top target and want to sign the England international from Aston Villa. That's according to their Athletic. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's me feeling tired as well. Um, Okay, Liverpool have inquired about the possibility of signing 17-year-old Mexican midfielder Gilberto Mora from Tijuana. That's according from El Universe. While Everton want to sign 25-year-old defender Dejat Space from Tottenham Hotspurs. That's according to the Athletic. Ricardo Rodriguez withdrawn. Then Tottenham are lining up an £85 million move for 19-year-old French forward Junior Elio Kropi from Bournemouth. That's according to TalkSport. Meanwhile, Jurgen Klopp is out here munching on some French fries. Who decided that they be called French fries? Inter Miami want to sign 40-year-old Cape Verde goalkeeper Voznia after he was released by Portuguese second division side Chavez. That's according to Marca. Then Chelsea are preparing to offer 18-year-old England midfielder Jesse Derry a new code to fend off interest from Bayern Munich, according to Football Insider, while newly promoted Ipswich Town want to seal a club record signing of 21-year-old Brazilian forward Emerson from Toulouse, according to Give Me Sport. Then Paris Saint-Germain have started talks to sign 24-year-old French midfielder Magnus Akleucho from AC Monaco, according to RMC Sport. So that's some of the transfer gossip and speculation that is making the rounds as we speak. The Safra, you say my name is Bendoa. Hi, the Safra. Fake username says he pulled back Egypt's second goal for a soft foul on the other side of the pitch. Then he had the nerve to ignore the same challenge when it happened to Salah. The Russian mob will hunt that ref down. Again, another moment, another football fan finding a sudden injustice within the that game. Till Gamer says Messi is fire. Okay. Till Gamer says Argentina will win the World Cup 2026. That's his view. Thanks, Till Gamer. For those of you that have just joined us, kindly subscribe to the channel. But also leave a like on the broadcast. It's a pleasure to have you around. I hope you're enjoying the game between Switzerland and Colombia. Clips Josh says, yo, hi Clips Josh. If not Argentina, Norway will win and make history. Wow. There will be a first-time winner. There will be a first-time winner. I think in the history of the World Cup, only 8 teams have won it. 8 or 9, thereabouts. Because we have Brazil, Germany and Italy. We have Argentina. We have Uruguay. We have Spain. We have England. What's the other nation? There's one that I'm forgetting. About 8 countries that have won the World Cup. Clips Josh says Argentina is just getting lucky. They ain't winning this year. Okay. Tilgama, you say hi. Are we even going to see a goal in this game? The more it goes on, the less likely it feels like we're going to get a goal in this game. Um, Huzaifa plays says no, they are not getting lucky. Clips just hater. Italy won 3 World Cup and disappeared. They have 4 to their name. Um, they have 1934 and 1938. Then their last was in 2006. In between there, they won one other. In between there, they won one other. That was in 1982. 75 minutes played, and we still do not have a goal. I hate it when we don't have goals. Josh Allen says, back again while I force out a log. How are you, brother? How are you, Josh Allen? Please keep improving. I can see you sort of filtering your language. Farouk says, this just seems, bro, Biswis penalty. I mean, I don't want it to go to extra time. I hate extra time. I hate penalties. So I'd rather it ends in normal time. Italian Mafia, that's from Sarayan. Tilgema says, does Portugal have any World Cup? No, they don't. They don't. They've never won it. Yeah, France is the other country that I'd forgotten. So only 8 countries have won the World Cup. Josh Allen asks, what team do you support? I was supporting Brazil and they bow out. I was supporting Brazil and Ghana. They all bow out. So now I don't have any team. I'm just enjoying the World Cup for what it is. Oh yeah, the 8th country is Netherlands. No, the 8th country is France, not Netherlands. Netherlands have never won the World Cup, but they have played 3 finals. In 2010, they did play in the final in 1974 and 1978, but still failed to win. Oba Walker sent $100 to the super chats. Oba Walker, the notification would be evident for the entire world to see if you had super chatted me with $100. Okay. Do you support any club team? Yes, I do support Arsenal. I do support Real Madrid. Work says Martinez is good at sinking generations. Portugal is done as he did to Bellingham. Well, the question is, if that is the narrative, who is next? Who is next? But Portugal still have a chance. I mean, majority of those players are still young. They'll be actually either in their prime or in the later, okay, not the later stages, but near the later stages of their careers. For those that are 25, they will be 29, 30, thereabouts, at the next edition of the World Cup, which will be 2030 edition that Portugal will co-host along with Spain and Portugal. So, sorry, along with Spain and Morocco. So, Joao Neves, who is about 21, will be about 26. Virginia will be about 30. And who knows what sort of talent they are going to manufacture in between there. By the way, with Portugal being among the host nations for the World Cup 2030, that's where people are wondering, was this the last dance for Cristiano Ronaldo, or would get to see him at the 2030 edition of the World Cup as an Ochoa of the Mexican squad, you know? You know, okay. Haaland sorry, Holland had so many good sides. Yeah, is that one from 1994 and subsequently the in 1998 in terms of squad and player profile. Those were good sides. But in terms of performances, they never lived to the billion. 2010 was good squad, but quite unfortunate. Africa and Europe hosting one tournament, yes. There's a very small distance between Portugal and Morocco and Spain. You know, um, in case you need to enlarge yourself, go check out on that. Uh, on the world map. You'll find the countries in proximity of one another. And for Spain, Spain is even very, very close. Now, remember, Spain share a border with Portugal. They are immediate neighbors. And to cross between uh, Spain, Portugal, and Morocco, that's a very, very easy, route. I think they are separated by distance, should be about, I don't know, should be either 90 kilometers or 90 miles. I don't remember the exactness. They are separated by the a certain sea up there. Initially, I used to think it was the Mediterranean Sea, but maybe it is called something else around that zone, you know. But they're very, very immediate neighbors, separated by sea. Okay. Tilgama says USA got a well-deserved humiliation, losing 4-1 against Belgium. Trump intervention was unprecedented and shameful. I certainly agree with you on that assessment. Tilgema. Sarayan says 45-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, MG, just forget it, bro. Junior will be an adult. Well, Junior will be an adult. Junior could be at the World Cup, but Junior is not playing the kind of football that does suggest that he will get a call to the World Cup. But Cristiano Ronaldo, for his legendary status, he can be an Ochoa in the squad. Ochoa featured for Morocco in this World Cup, but that was on March the 3 as they beat Czech Republic by 3 goals to nil. They had already been guaranteed a top spot, and Richard Rios has just been introduced in that Colombia midfield with 8 minutes left to play to the 90th minute mark. So, I mean, you never know. You never know. Things happen. And suddenly coming at the World Cup at the age of 45 or even 46 wouldn't be the worst thing to happen to football, That's why they ran away to That's why they ran away to Europe. I mean, close neighbors. They sure. Swiss could have given Manzambi time in this game. Has tried to cross-check to see whether he's even on the bench, because, I mean, he's been such a decent performer in this competition, but I don't remember seeing him on the bench. I don't remember seeing him on the bench. Johan Manzambi, who, by the way, Newcastle are really, really in serious conversations with Freiburg to sign him. I can't go through more pain with Cristiano, bro. No. I don't think it will be pain if you acknowledge that he's just there as a squad player, Okay. Even in this World Cup, Cristiano was largely just a spectator on the field. That's from Till Gamer. Road to the quarterfinals. Yes, this is the last dance for the road to the quarterfinals. And so far, the game has not given us any joy. None whatsoever. Both teams keep getting there, but nothing decisive, really. Nothing decisive. I'm here hoping that we get a late goal, because the last thing I want us to do is extra time. That's the last thing I would want us to do. Oh. Like, they get to the penalty, they get to the edge of the box, and that's it. And that's it. But Summer Banks, I hope you're doing okay. How are you? How's been your day? Um, Portugal players are losers. Few players have a winning mentality. There are, there are. If Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't play for them, I don't need to support those work guys. Jesus Christ, Cristiano was so self-centered even after losing. Post-match, he said, "I gave everything to Portugal. Portugal gave me everything." If he says Portugal gave him everything, how is that self-centered? Unless you're only taking the first part of the sentence, you know, which would be nitpicking. Till gamer, to be fair. Um, we are still on Portugal. Summer Banks, you are still mourning Portugal. Others are still assessing Portugal. Oh, as a bad stamp by Bill Emblo on Davidson Sanchez. These two have had a spark in this game that so far or before. I hope it's not revengeful. Read again. Oh, I gave I gave everything to Portugal. Portugal gave me nothing. Really? Jesus Christ. When he says Portugal gave him nothing, they gave him the Euros. You remember he got injured in the early minutes of the final against France in 2016, and he was withdrawn. And Eda scored the goal that helped them win the title. You know, and then obviously they went on to win two UEFA Nations League titles. But it's also okay to feel that way, especially if you feel that you are miles above everybody else in terms of talent in comparison. Not that he does need to draw any comparisons. Okay. Football Junior says hi, bro. Hi, Football Junior. Good to have you on the broadcast. How are you? Where are you joining us from? Sarayan says Portugal made him the most influential man in Portugal. Every country knows them because of Ronaldo. Beg your pardon. The most influential man in Portugal. Portugal knows them. The country knows them because Ronaldo, even in jail and in poor mountain villages. So please respect the man's name. Okay, fair enough. Where are you from? I'm from Kampala, Uganda. Thanks for asking. Where are you joining us from? Football Junior. Till Gamer says Portugal lost because they were busy facilitating incompetency. Without Cristiano, maybe they would have gone further. I mean, would it be naive of some of those players who deem themselves to be world class to have themselves centered around a single player? I mean, why not take matters into your own hands? You know, why not take on the responsibility? I did not see anybody being stopped from taking full responsibility if they wanted to, you know. So if they wanted to impact play in a certain way, they may as well have done so. Messi or Ronaldo, bro, two greats of the game. I just appreciate them both for their respective careers that they've had. Quite tremendous what they've achieved. So I'm not one to choose one over the other. Did you eat enough KFC? That's from Jacob. Today, no, today I did not eat KFC. I just had a simple cup of African tea for my dinner. Okay, Loro, Big Bruno, no chance. Lad back and side passes. Summerbank says, hey, today's session, all viewers are spitting fire on CR7. The comment section is not for the faint-hearted, Summerbanks. Gunnar says, the debate is over. Messi is the answer. If Messi is the answer, what is the question? Till Gamer says KFC is back chicken. Honestly, uh, Till Gamer, do you want to donate a bucket of KFC? I'd welcome it with open arms. Anyway, guys, do not forget you can support the channel by becoming a member on this channel for only 0.5 US dollars. That is the starting point. Only 2,000 Uganda shillings. Can't even buy you a cup of coffee. But anyways, it's for to show support. You can check those packages out and see if you can join as a member, or you can super chat. Oh, till you are saying KFC is bad chicken, honestly. You know, let me ask, are things bad for those that can't afford them, or bad for those that have been able to afford them and are now tired of them? Which of them is true? You know, sometimes people criticize something because they can't afford it. And this is not to you in particular, Till Gamer, nothing on you. I'm just simply asking to sort of understand the analogy of society, because people have that habit. They criticize what they can't afford, while others will ridicule what they can afford simply because they've afforded it so many times, it's no longer a thing, you know. And whereas if you cannot afford it on a, let's say, a more routine basis, your view about it may be quite different. That's my question. Okay. Hulk says, "Yo, how often do you? What's that? I didn't get that. Nothing beats a good homemade pot roast. Okay, looks like you're a barbecue guy, or you know, is somebody that loves to cook, or a home cooked meal." Summerbank says, "Host KFC is a joke." Okay. Summer Banks, do you have alternatives, or your team Chikarai? Okay, you are very wise man, Robert. Thanks. Okay, Till Gamer says KFC is made of months old chicken. Months old chicken. The broilers. But that's how they are raised. 4 to 6 weeks. It's not great. I mean, you're supposed to eat a chicken that has lived for at least 6 months. That would be the ideal situation or scenario. But in the world of fast food, that's what can be raised fast enough for you guys. Especially when you go to economies. The other day, I was watching a clip on social media by one of those food vloggers, and he was talking about countries with the highest levels of obesity, and Mexico was one of them. And in Mexico, they literally worship Coca-Cola. Somebody tell me. Unfortunately, Chipes is not here with us, and I don't remember the other gentleman. Oh, Jesus, JY 18815 is not here with us. There are two of them people from Mexico that I know on this channel. What's the relationship between Mexico and Coca-Cola? I mean, I don't know. In Mexico, Coca-Cola is like drinking water. You know, we are into the second last minute of added time here, and it's still goalless. Looks like extra time is on the horizon. Then the other country with high levels of obesity, actually number one on that list, was USA, because literally USA is home of fast foods. You know, KFC, McDonald's, etc., you know, burgers and stuff like that. Okay, Asaran says it's the same with Mercedes. It's cheap, so people. Sorry. It's the same with Mercedes. It's cheap, so people feed their families with it. I mean, don't we all need an affordable meal? Chris Buck, you had the comment retracted. I don't know for what reason, but Till Gamer says no. I mean, the meat is stored in a freezer for months. Oh, okay. Apologies on that slight internet glitch. Those things still happen where I am from. internet drops. I don't know if you guys ever experienced those things in your respective countries, but when you come from a country like mine, yeah, it is not a huge surprise. Very frustrating an adventure, but one that happens more often than we care to admit. Okay. In being stored in the freezers for months, well, I don't know, and I won't speak for those countries, but I know if, let's say, it is for some, if you get it from supermarkets, but it's the only way to preserve it. I don't find it very ideal, but I mean, but things that have been in a freezer for months, I really don't like that. It does. I don't like the sound of that. But I've also seen tuna. You know the thing about tuna? Oh, the referee calls the game to one end, and therefore we are headed to extra time. We are headed for extra time as we wait to find out who will go through between Switzerland and Colombia to meet Argentina at the next stage of this World Cup. That's at the quarterfinals. So I've seen, they said tuna is one of those fish species that can go bad so quickly. And therefore, the best way to transport it or preserve it is by keeping it frozen. So there's that. Okay. Why are the referees officiating France, Morocco, all Argentines? Your guess is as good as mine. Like I said, I've seen the graphic at making the rounds on social media, but I'm yet to ascertain it to absolute certainty that they are all from Argentina. However, if that is true, with absolute certainty, I would indeed find it suspicious and wonder to what means of an end are FIFA trying to what are they trying to achieve by doing that, if that is the case. Then Tilgema say, wash with Coca-Cola, damn. Sarayan says, Mexico are the kings of cokes. That's true. Tilgema says 50% US population primary source of hydration is either beer or soda. Wow. Is water? I mean, is mineral water something strange to people there? Because, by the way, still about that clip, Coca-Cola in Mexico is more affordable than a bottle of water. Jesus Christ. I mean, anyways, every country with their shenanigans, every country with their choices and how they lead their lives. Okay. Egypt was another victim of Argentina. That's from Enrique Chavarin. Hi, Enrique Chavarin. Then Ajan Schotz says 2,000 cents. Vala says, am I late? You're definitely late because it's been 1 hour and 58 minutes ever since we started this broadcast. Ajan, when you super chat, it does not come as a typed comment. It simply comes as a pop-up notification with whatever currency sign it was. The other day I was quite pleased when somebody super chatted me with 2 Swiss francs, which is the equivalent of about 9,000 Uganda shillings, by the way. And then last night also still, Jesus treated me to a cup of coffee. Anyways, I don't see comments. That's from Viola. I don't know. Viola, you may need to maybe refresh your page or check your network, but people's comments are coming through. But Viola, greetings from United Road 10. He was on here earlier with us, and he sent you greetings. He's been quite a bit busy, but he will be engaging more frequently in the foreseeable future. Enrique Chavarini says that's not true. United States is the king of sugar, calories, etc. I mean, no, I was not saying Mexico are the kings of calories and sugar. No. I was simply saying Mexico love Coca-Cola for some reason. It's like their go-to drink. They are more faithful to Coca-Cola than most people would be to their marriages, if that makes sense for you. Then Tilgema says Coca-Cola being cheaper than mineral water doesn't make sense, bro. Well, that's what I heard from this travel vlogger, and he's quite a popular figure, although I did not catch his name. He's quite a popular figure, and he's not sunny side. Yeah, you can even Google that one. I'm sure you may find a few things out there. Mariam says Egypt got robbed. Well, sorry about that, Mariam. Sorry you feel that way. Sorry that Egypt had to crash out. It was painful to watch for the neutrals, for the well wishers of Egypt, as well as for the Egyptians, more importantly. So, yeah. But I mean, when it comes to countries and their deities, then one of the other strange things that I learned, and this I learned from Steve's show, Steve Harvey, Family Feud. So he did an edition of South Africa, because I think he's done about 3 in Africa. He did Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa. I stand to be corrected if he's done anything other than that, those 3 countries. So while in South Africa, one of the questions that was posed was, what South Africans love most about a chicken? And South Africans love chicken feet more than they love drumsticks. Jesus Christ. What are you guys smoking out there? Since when are chicken feet more tastier than the drumsticks? Anyway, I've never tasted a chicken foot, but almost sounds a little bit strange. But I know people consume them. And if you were to speak to my brother to call chicken feet food, he'll be thinking you're denying his dogs quite a meal. So, but every society has its preferences, you know. Then I think the other was gizzard. Gizzard is okay. But Sarayan, how do you guys get to love chicken feet more than drumsticks? How? As in, make it make sense. Somebody make it make sense, you know. Messi and Argentina are my enemies, my enemy forever. That's from Mariam. If that's true, what kind of water is Coca-Cola using in the drinks? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But I mean, I think it should be access to clean water, clean and drinking water should be made a global right, you know, and that it should be more affordable than soft drinks, you know, because at least where I come from, majority of the soft drinks start at 1,000 Uganda shillings, but you can get a bottle of water at 500 shillings, you know. So, what did you study? Ajan Schultz. What did I study? As in, at what stage? I've studied so many things. But as far as school is concerned, I did information technology. Drinking water should be free, actually. Well, it isn't. As one of those that got really, really so troubled when our government at one point decided to increase tax on mineral water. And I'm thinking to myself, come on, guys, you cannot be increasing tax on mineral water. Let people be. I don't trust African countries. That's from Viola. What about African countries don't you trust? You know? Alan Smith says Messi is just FIFA's golden boy. Okay, interesting take. You can elucidate more if you don't find trouble in that. Enrique Chavarin, responding to Mariam, says, welcome to the football world. Argentina is the product of FIFA. Messi is the FIFA princess of FIFA. The World Cup is scripted for Messi again, like 2022. That's from Enrique. You say, bro, you know that in the United States, most people think Africa is a country. Yeah, I've seen that. And by the way, for guys, if my words fail me, find it within your heart to please forgive me. But I almost found it stupid the first time I found a clip when somebody thought Africa was a country. I was like, how naive does somebody have to be? Don't these guys go to school? I mean, it should be best studied to know that. Don't they study the 6 different continents? Africa, Europe, North America, South America, Australia, and Asia, don't they study that basic, you know, information? And then I started seeing many videos or multiple clips of people being asked about Africa, and they didn't have the slightest clue. People did not think that there is a single skyscraper anywhere in Africa, that there is a single paved road. Why? Because they are accustomed to being treated to video adverts of vulnerable Africans in refugee camps, in very vulnerable societies, seeking help, on behalf of UNICEF, UN, World Food Organization, things like that. But we live in an internet age. Can't you Google and read something about Africa? So I really, really found that strange. But the more I found more videos of more people thinking that Africa was one country, that's when I decided to, just give up on them. Because, anyways, our curriculum was engineered in such a way that we study more about them than they study about us, if anything, anyway. I think you need to be doing something to do with historical studies and majoring in Africa for you to even understand that context. Okay, Tilgema says, can you imagine if mineral water becomes free, a lot less people would be drinking unhealthy drinks? As true. Summerbank says, Messi, FIFA boy. Enrique says, geography in the United States sucks, bro. So what part of geography do they study in the United States? Because, apart from the rocks and studying about the excruciating sunshine in Yellowstone, the drylands or the desert parts of California, East Coast, West Coast, what else do they study? The frozen parts of Alaska. What do they study in their geography? Because I'll give you an example. For us, in sort of school setting, you begin learning certain things right from primary school in a class called social studies. That's where you brought to the know about the current affairs, political current affairs. Who is the president, who is the vice president, who is the speaker, who is the minister of education, blah, blah, those kinds of things. How many districts are in the country, basic government structure, and then you study about explorers, missionaries, etc., etc. Then you get to secondary school, where in history you get to study about the history, different mixes of topics about Uganda, about Africa, and to a certain extent other parts. And then you do geography, where again you study more about the geography of the country, etc., etc. Then when you get to what we call advanced level, which is high school or the final 2 years of high school, because for us we do 6 years. The first is what we call O level, and then the other is A level, advanced level. So if you do geography as a subject, it has 3 papers to it. Paper 1 is about Uganda. Sorry, is about the Earth, and that historical geography. Then paper 2 is about basically European geography. That's where you study about the Scandinavian countries and their forestry, fishing, etc. And then paper 3 is where you study about the geography of the country, Uganda in particular or specifically. Oh, that's a brilliant save. Colombia nearly took the lead here, but they are denied. So what are those guys studying there? Because at least it should be a basic that Africa is a continent. It has a total of 53 or 54 countries, and maybe the youngest country today is South Sudan, who got their independence in 2011, breaking away from main Sudan. That at the base of Africa, south, you have South Africa, and at the top of it, you have Morocco, you have Algeria, you have Egypt. West Africa, you can learn it, Come on, you cannot be that naive. Anyways, it is what it is. Okay, United States has a collective brain cell count in single digits. I am back. That's KT. Hi, KT. Okay, yep. And if we studied about them, it was colonialism. Yeah, okay. Now, by the way, I'm not against studying about them. I'm against how much we study about them. It's okay for us to study about them, but more in the current affairs and not too much of them. But for us to just have that sort of understanding, you know, we wouldn't want to be like them. Imagine waking up and you're thinking Europe is a country. Okay. United States kids do not study; they are busy doing drugs. Okay. Enrique says United States lives in a bubble. By the way, they think Super Bowl is bigger than World Cup. Now, there are certain things that I found odd, and this is about the World Cup. There are people out there that didn't even know that USA was participating in the World Cup. They were wondering what's the World Cup. All they know is the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, the Hockey League, and those other things that they care about really. And I'm thinking to myself, how naive do you have to be? Oh, did that go off the upright? Or did the goalkeeper put in a save? Oh, that was such a brilliant aim. The goalkeeper saves. Champas, Campas with the attempt. Okay. Rio Dandy says, going a little off topic, sir, who has a bigger legacy, who is the most powerful person of all time between Cristiano Ronaldo and Michael Jackson. Now, I'm a football person and less of a music person. I'll be lying if I can explain the full extent or gravity or weight of MJ as I would explain maybe that of CR7 in the game of football. So unfortunately, I would say Cristiano Ronaldo. And more importantly, in this more robust age and world of social media that has brought certain facts and informations closer to us than it previously were in the Michael Jackson era. So that's how I would look at it. MJ, oh, you met Michael Jordan. I went for Michael Jackson. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, okay, Michael Jackson, Rio Dandy. Thanks for the clarification. But yeah, it's a bit hard for me to compare. But from where I stand as a football person, I would say Cristiano Ronaldo. Then, and the USA culinary is bigger joke. It's less than their collective brain cell count. God is the biggest and the most powerful. Now, I don't know. Let me ask: does USA cuisine, is it rich? I mean, is it rich? Let me ask. Other than oh, as a brilliant save from the Colombian goalkeeper to deny the Swiss. At least at least extra time has offered us in the opening 15 minutes of the extra time have offered us more than what the entire 90 minutes offered us in terms of testing goalkeepers. You know, goalkeepers have had something to do in this one. The Swiss goalkeeper has had at least two brilliant saves to make thus far, and the Colombian goalkeeper just made a brilliant save here. Anyways, so as I still ask you, other than corn, Irish potatoes, which is also the raw material for chips, and some crisps, steak, bread, maybe rice. What else do those guys eat? You know, I know, okay, they eat some fish, they eat some baked beans, and what else do they eat? This game will be a shootout. That's from Saran. Well, that's what Gladiator predicted, aka Farouk. US government is rich, people are poor, pretending to be rich. They are in debt. They are in debts they will never clear. Okay, not so familiar with the economic landscape of the USA, but I do know that when it comes to opportunities, they beat quite many countries. Um, that's true. Tilgema, you work to pay for life. Pasta, eggs, okay. Yeah, eggs, true. Pasta, macaroni and cheese. Why was he even passing it to Diaz? Should have gone for goal himself. Richard Rios. Ugh. Hmm. Is the corner kick will be the last action of the first half, and the referee calls it to one end. We are destined for the interval for extra time. How I wish we do not go to penalties. I dread penalties. Egyptian head coach Hossam Hassan, speaking to Bain Sports via French 24, says, I told the referee that what was happening wasn't fair. It's undeserved victory for Argentina. Once I'm back in my country and at home, I'll never watch the World Cup again because there's no justice in this competition. Those were some of the comments of Hossam Hassan. Um, Tilgema is say, I've average corporate Americans earn less than 50% of what an average immigrant corporate earns. That's how bad the education is. Okay. I live in Mexico. This is from Enrique. I live in Mexico, and my girlfriend lives in the United States. They have a brand new car financed on credit, but they have to pay a ton of money They are basically working just to pay off debts. Okay. That's just how the system works in the US. Yeah, it's predominantly a credit system than it is a cash system. You know, like you do not need to have the cash on you to acquire something. You need maybe a bit of part payment, and then you commit yourself to paying um, more routinely, and, and you take something, even if it's a mobile phone, you know. Whereas in other countries, and it's very common in Africa, oftentimes if you own something, you actually own it, you know. And it's not that we do not buy things on credit, but it's lesser in Africa than it is the other side. The other side, it's the way of life, you know. For example, even in Uganda, people buy cars on credit. Somebody maybe will pay 20% or 15% or 50% of the vehicle, or 80%, depending on their terms and conditions that they've agreed to. And then they pay for something and then they acquire it. Then something applies to a mortgage, something like that. However, for us, it's more like it's not a lifetime thing, you know. So, in other words, people buy things more on cash than on credit. Whereas in the USA, it's the reverse is true. They buy more things on credit than they do on cash. That's just how the system works. Mm. Till Gamer says Americans do not have the habit of saving money. They are short-sighted. They spend most of their salary on useless things within a week of getting their salary. I thought they have a saving culture, a high saving culture, and that's how they are able to afford vacations. Now, now, okay, from my little understanding of part of their system, and I'm very intentional on saying part, is like it is in other places around the world. There are people that live hand to mouth. In other words, they live on what they earn, either on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis. They're that class of people. And then there are those that do not live that way. So there are different grades to it. So, for example, a doctor, let's say, who earns, let's say, $200 per hour, maybe their paycheck is a little bigger, is likely to have some more savings in the bank, and somebody who works for a little over $15 an hour, and you know their pay is smaller. I'll give you an example. From as a consumer of online content, I've come to learn that New York City is one of the most expensive cities to live in. Somebody rents literally a shoebox apartment for more than $1,500. In some cases, depending on the size, of course, it's 3,000, 4,000, and it's a very small apartment, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, need you live that way? How about you live outside of the city and find a bit more space, you know? But anyways, it's their way of life. It's their way of life. We are left with 10 minutes of extra time. We are yet to find a breakthrough in this game, still goalless. And it's 1:24 a.m. in Uganda. I know for our people in the UK, it's 11:24 p.m. For our people in German, Italy, it's 24 minutes past midnight. Um, for our people in India, it must be around let's see, 2, 3, around maybe 4:50 a.m. thereabouts. New York. In fact, entire US is is a spider web. Aha. No, the one thing I know to be true, again, based on the content that I've consumed, is that it's more expensive to live in certain cities in the US than others. For example, if you're going to live in New York, if you're going to live in Los Angeles, if you're going to live in maybe Dallas, if you're going to live in Boston, Massachusetts, if you're going to live in Miami, and that sort of thing, it may be more expensive to live there. But um, maybe even Houston. But then you'll find this other cities, smaller towns, or small towns, or medium-sized towns where it's more affordable to live. For example, that you'll get twice the size of the room for maybe $2,000 a month than you would get in New York, and that sort of thing. I'm watching you from McDonald's bathroom in Las Vegas. What time is it there? That's from Ellie. Oh, Ali, sorry. It's 26 minutes past 1 a.m. East African time. You say Michael Jordan. Enrique says that's also true. Sometimes my girlfriend wants to spend money on things she doesn't really need. I think that since the US is a first world country, the consumer culture makes people believe it's okay to spend money on whatever without thinking about the consequences, because they assume they will always just make more money later. Is it Africa country? Africa is a whole continent with 53 countries. you know, with the whole 54 countries. But let me type my country for you down in the comment section. Uganda, small East African country nestled away in the eastern part of the continent, with Kenya, Tanzania, DRC Congo, South Sudan, and Rwanda as our immediate neighbors, as countries with which we share borders. You know, the thing about Americans is that countries are almost alien to them, because for them, they have states. Anyways, let me let me ask Enrique, without even searching for this one, how many countries are part of North America? you know, because Canada, USA, Mexico, and what else? Okay, it seems like Ali is living in McDonald's bathroom to escape from New York's insane rent. Europe is also a continent. I know, Ali says, I know Morocco from Africa, South Africa, Nigeria. Well, add Uganda to the list. Please add Uganda to the list. Enrique says America is a continent too. I'm from Mexico, so I'm American too. What are the countries pro? I know only United States. Okay. Even with access to Google, these Americans ask the most. Whoa, I was quite scared. Dude is just trolling. I don't know shit about Europe or Asia or Africa. Uganda, what is never had. Ah, he could not keep that one on target. So much to the agony of the Colombians. No, bro, I'm in Las Vegas to gamble all my money. No thanks. I'm from here. By the time somebody says they're in Las Vegas to gamble all their money, nah, they're psyching you. They are psyching you, absolutely. Okay, Colombia have a free kick. Can they make this one count? I hate penalties. So whoever scores, let them score and we avoid penalties. Either way, there will be tears at the end of this one. Ball is headed across goal, nobody gets to it, and the Swiss clear their lines. The Swiss are known for their chocolates, their Rolex watches. What an awful match. Well, it's not lived to the billing, to be honest. It's not lived to the billing. Argentina Egypt was better, more entertaining. That's absolutely true. Colombia have a player down. He won't budge. He's requesting to be substituted off, but I bet you not. Thought Colombia have used up their substitutions. But anyways, it's bound to happen. Players are bound to cramp. Players are bound to... Oh, at long last, Yerimina is being introduced. Almost a forgotten man. I think he plays for what? Is it Spezia or Monza? I think Spezia in the Italian Serie A. Bravo, Enrique. Chocolate watches, banks, okay. No thanks, bro. I'm from United States. We are the best country in the world. Super Bowl is the best event in the world. Lukumi or Luchumi, withdrawn for the towering Yerimina, one of the standout performers from the 2018 World Cup, attracting the attention for the likes of Barcelona. That's a great pass. Nobody is there to meet the cross, the cutback. But what happened to the comments? I'm reading all the comments. Comments are coming through, but it could be that YouTube is having a glitch on your part. It does happen. Remember the other day when I started the broadcast and sound wasn't working for you guys? I checked my microphones and they were fine. I had to end the broadcast and redo it. So it could be a YouTube glitch, and not a you glitch. No thanks, Pro. From the United States, Australia doesn't exist. Did I miss a comment? We're into the final minutes of the extra time. Americans are allergic to milk, nuts, fur, dust, water, soy, fresh vegetables and fruits. And but they don't they have the largest community of vegetarians? Only 1 minute of added time here before we go for the sport kicks. May the best team win. Only seconds left to play here. Anytime from now, the referee will be calling the game to one end. Bro, no, India has the largest vegetarians. No. Oh, anyway, let me not argue about that. Indians, apart from respecting cows, they eat a lot of chicken. And the referee calls the game to one end. Therefore, we are bound for penalties. We are bound for penalties. Time for the sport kicks. Indians eat a lot of chicken. I don't know what other meats they eat, but at least chicken, yeah, literally every meal. I think chicken is their Ugandan version of beans. You know, Ugandans consume a lot of beans. But I know some Indians are really vegetarians. So I know that in large parts of India, they don't eat cows because they respect cows, because they believe that when somebody dies, they come back as a cow, you know. Then what else do they eat? Of course, a lot of piri piri. We just human beings, American, African, etc. Okay, don't talk bad about my patriotic country. Till gamer, we love burgers, pizzas, fake tacos from Taco Bell. Why do you call them fake tacos? Because Mexicans make the best tacos. Mhm. Yeah, they eat meat, but their diet is largely vegetarian. Nothing you believe it's real, either, bro. You read too much from Reddit forums. I'm American, but I'm not like that at all. What you're saying, it's the dumbest American. Okay, bro, they talk shit. We are not like that. Oh, Jesus Christ. Are we awaiting? I think the shortlists have been drawn on who takes the spot kicks. Who do you guys think will come out on top on the penalties? Leave a comment down in the comment section. You think Switzerland are coming out on top, or you think Colombia will edge the penalties? Penalties are 50-50. You take good penalties, you have a chance. You take bad penalties, you sent home. So this has nothing to do with leadership. It has nothing to do with pace, anything. Colombia needs the victory. Enrique, I think you just wish for Colombia to avenge Argentina. All right, Ali, which is the largest country in the world? Largest country in the world? Is that not Russia? Okay, United States could be the largest, but that's a collection of states. But Russia or China, one of those two, possibly. Anyway, I don't know. Just thinking out loud. Can't generalize, bro. There are dumb Americans and smart ones. Okay, you guys have your arguments there. The dumb person here are you that you generalize about anything. I'm not sure I understood the comments. I don't know if it's a continuation of the last one or any. Davidson Sanchez and Grand Xhaka referee having a coin toss on where we are going, which goal. Why does that need a coin toss? Anyway. Heads and tails, flip the coin. Anyway, it's Russia, bro. But apart from that, does that pay my bills? The world watches on in abs. They hold the nerves as Colombia will take the first penalty. Mm. They wanted to go to on penalties. Well, we are finally on the penalties. Let them show us what they got. Who will be the better goalkeeper? Who will be the better side? My challenge with sport kicks is that they can go either way. It's a 50-50. You know, it's a 50-50. You take good ones, you have a chance. You take bad ones, you're as good as done and dusted. Yeremina is so tall. Colombia, here they come with the first penalty. Will he score? And he scores. Brilliant penalty. Quintero. Mati says hi. Grand Xhaka steps up for Team Switzerland to take their first penalty. Looks like the captain is taking some responsibility, some leadership. Can he put it on targets? Or will it be saved? Oh, it was almost saved. Goalkeeper went the right way, put his palm to it, but it was just not strong enough to keep it out. And it's 1-1. Oh, does put his palm to it. Even his head coach literally had his heart in his mouth there for a second. Davidson Sanchez is the next penalty taker. Every Colombian that they showed to us appears to be praying in the best way possible they know how and in their mother tongue. It's been 2 hours and 44 minutes of this broadcast. Quite the journey it's been. Right from the start of the game. Oh, Davidson Sanchez misses, hits the inside of the crossbar, ball bounces to the ground and back out. Oh, that was such a decent penalty. Oh, The goalkeeper was nowhere near it. Hits the inside of the crossbar. He went for power. A little too much height on it. I don't know who decided that penalty takers or players have to stand at the center line. That's a long walk before taking a penalty and a very long walk after missing a penalty. The Swiss, with some chocolate in their mouths, hold their breath. Oh, that's a brilliant penalty. Switzerland 2-1 Colombia. As calm as you'd have it. Almost similar to the Neymar penalty versus Norway. Campazzi. Next for Team Colombia. If he misses, then the story for Colombia may be a long one. Oh, he puts it in. The goalkeeper went the right direction. Ball just squeezed in on the turf. Oh, he nearly got to it. Does brush off his elbows, but it creeps in. Manel Akanji Masi. Manel Akanji, who recently signed permanently for Inter Milan after a loan spell at Inter Milan from Manchester City, is the penalty taker for the Swedes. And he fires it over the bar. Manel Akanji fires it over the bar. It's a very long walk for him, returning to his teammates having missed that penalty. He can barely believe it. Nagode. Oh, you say thank you? So one penalty missed for either side. So it's 2-2. Colombia, here they come again. Two defenders have missed. Davidson Sanchez and Manel Akanji. Oh, and the penalty is saved. Gregor Kobel saves this one. Luis Diaz can hardly believe it. And the Swiss celebrate like they've won it. But trust me, it's not yet over. You say, how are you? I'm doing all right. How about yourself? That's from Mati. The Colombian goalkeeper needs to save this one or to pray that it goes off target to keep his side in it. Oh, straight down the middle. And Manel Akanji sort of feels bailed out. He celebrates that one the more. Oh, 3-2 in favor of Switzerland. One penalty left for all. Luis Diaz steps up for Colombia. If he scores, Switzerland will take their final penalty. If he misses, Switzerland do not need to take their final penalty. They'll simply have won it 3-2. Luis Diaz, one of the stars for this Colombian team. Here he comes. Oh, that's a cool penalty. Literally passed it into the back of the net. Walks over to his goalkeeper and whispers a word or two of encouragement to say, please do it for us. Get the job done for us. Keep us in this one. Because if he saves this one, then it stays 3-3 and we have to continue with the penalties. Now, this is a pressure penalty. If he scores, Switzerland go through 4-3. If he misses, it remains at 3-3. That means we continue with the spot kicks until one side misses and the other scores. The chocolate makers hold their breath. They look to their watches, but can't read the time. Hi, Matty. Bye-bye. I don't know if it's a bye, a high five, a wave. Oh, and he scores. Switzerland are through, and they will meet Argentina at the quarterfinals. Congratulations, Team Switzerland, for a worthwhile fight. You've made it thus far. Congratulations. And the Colombians are sent packing. It will be a night of eating chocolate all night, all day long, as they advance to the quarterfinals, where they will meet Argentina. It's been quite the battle, not the most of entertaining games in normal time and in extra time, but extra time a little better than the opening 90 minutes. But it is what it is. Oh, lots of celebrations and embraces. You've been such a wonderful audience tonight. For those of you that were part of us, where we started from 2 hours and 52 minutes ago, to all those that came by at the different intervals, you've been such a wonderful audience. Marty, Ali, Enrique, Tilgema, thank you so much. Viola, you've been such wonderful company. Rio Dandy, Ketty, Alan Smith, Jan Schultz. Thank you so much for all of you that have been part of tonight's broadcast. United Road 10, Amelia, Reluctant Gamer, Shimi, not Shadow 2, William, thank you so much. Lucky Singh, Ali Fikmal, okay. Chris Buck, thank you so much. Titan, okay. Raymond Kangumba, Gia VR, Cedric, Sarayan, and every single one of you that has been part of tonight's conversation. Thank you so much. Okay, Joel, it was Steve Harrington, Reluctant Gamer, and every single one of you that has been part of tonight's podcast. Thank you for making it worthwhile while you stayed with us for tonight's broadcast. I hope you enjoyed the watch along and everything that came with it in as far as wow. So full-time score, Switzerland 4, Colombia 3 on post-match penalties, and the Colombians will board the plane to return home as Switzerland stay up to live to fight another day. Up next, they'll be up against Argentina at the quarterfinals, and this is a confirmation for the quarterfinal fixtures. Argentina will take on Switzerland, Norway will take on England, while Spain will take on Belgium. Morocco will be up against France. Today, in as far as Wednesday is concerned, do not expect any fixture for the World Cup for the first time in the journey of this World Cup. The competition will be taking a break for a day without a game to be played. That's Wednesday. So action will return on Thursday when France take on Morocco at 11 p.m. Subsequent to that will be on Friday when Spain take on Belgium. And then after that on Sunday at midnight, we'll have Norway versus England. For some, it will be still a Saturday, while Argentina will take on Switzerland at 4 a.m. On Sunday. So the road to the final is on. Whoever advances between France and Morocco will meet whoever advances between Spain and Belgium for the semi-final on one side, and then whoever advances between Norway and England will meet whoever comes through between Argentina and Switzerland. That's been the gist of the action. Thank you so much. You've been such a wonderful audience tonight. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for our morning broadcast. I don't know what time we shall kickstart it, but keep your notifications turned on and do not miss out on the absolute best. Stay blessed. Until next time. Bye-bye. Peace.